Thank you for being with us again today. And today we have another interesting segment, and we have a very special guest here with us. We're going to encourage you, as you were watching this, perhaps to also share this with your friends, family, the loved ones, and because this could be very relevant to what they need to know to help them move forward. Comments, we would invite you to ask questions or even leave comments behind. And so today I want to introduce you to Parvinder Grewal, who's got a lot of expertise here and also very much involved in the aspects of using energy for healing. And so welcome, Parvinder. Thank you for being here today, and then we'll share some wonderful things with the public.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So go ahead, tell us a little bit, where are you from, what you've been doing, how you tell us a little bit of your life story, what got you involved.
Okay, so I am a licensed holistic health practitioner, and I've been in this field for, I would say, over 15 years in the natural health field. And I have been I've worked retail, I've worked in clinics, and now I basically have my own practice, and I practice in Surrey, BC. I usually see clients one-on-one. I started this a long time ago, actually. I was kind of stumbling around trying to figure out what I wanted to do in life. I was 25 and I had just come back from doing an internship in Indonesia. And there I was supposed to be doing community work with the local indigenous people, which I was, but I also partied my face off while I was down there, and kind of lost track about what I was supposed to be doing in my life. I kind of lost track about my purpose, and you know, kind of moving in that direction. Instead of going right, I turned left, but one thing I noticed, what I kept being attracted towards, was I loved working with the local healers. I loved working with the local healers and being in connection with nature and working with the plants and finding out about, you know, what this plant is for and who may it help, and hearing the success stories of the indigenous healers. And I loved how they worked with the spirit of nature and revered her as a mother, and it showed in the way they helped people. So that was one thing that kept me coming back and always made me feel connected. But at that age, I was only 25, I didn't really know what connected meant, and so I didn't really have any guidance. I didn't have any gurus or mentors or teachers to kind of show me, okay, Parvinder, go this way. So I was just trying to figure it out. So when I came back to Canada, I had a choice. Now, either I go back to Indonesia and I keep working there, or I stay here and figure out what I want to do. And so I kept stumbling because I thought, well, my degree is in environmental studies and science, so that's what I should do. But any job that I would get hired for, if I even got hired, I would eventually get fired from, because now I know that I wasn't actually supposed to be there. I was supposed to be doing something else, but I wouldn't follow my intuition, and I wouldn't follow because I was too scared to do that, because it was so out of the norm. Because my whole life, my parents told me, go to school, you know, get a job, don't be like us, because my parents are immigrants and they got kicked around a lot when they first came. They worked labor jobs, and they always wanted me to be sort of an office worker, and they thought that was very prestigious. So that's what I felt like I should be doing. And so I would try to get these office jobs, and I, I just wasn't very good at it. I was bored. And so then either I would end up quitting, or I'd get fired, or the job would somehow come to an end. And until finally I realized maybe I should try something else. Maybe I should try something that I really want to do. So I took a herbology course at Langara College. Absolutely loved it. I would look forward to every class. I was so in love with the course and learning about the different herbs in the Canadian area. And then the teacher, he also taught us about Ayurveda, which is more of a Eastern philosophy of medicine. But now what I understand it to be is it's actually the principles are actually quite universal. It just originates in the East, but you can apply it to any type of medicine, and it works. So he taught about Ayurveda, he taught about indigenous medicine, and he taught about plant attunement, how to tune into plants, which I absolutely loved, because I've always believed that plants have spirits. And since I was a child, I actually always thought that I could talk to them, and perhaps one day they'll talk back to me. But what I understand now is that their language is different. But at that time, I was trying to listen with words, and now I realize their language is more in the realm of feeling, not necessarily mind at a mind level. So it's just a completely different operation. Anyhow, so after Langara, after doing my course in herbology, I kept going with that basically, and then everything in my life kind of got more in line to what I wanted to do. And I know it was going in more in line because I started becoming happier. Whereas before that, I was always sad or depressed, or I felt lost. And as I started coming back onto the path that I was supposed to be on, my energy started increasing. I wasn't tired anymore. I wasn't depressed anymore. I wasn't having bad relationships anymore, because I was fulfilled, because I was actually doing what I was supposed to be doing, which was
on track, on purpose,
which was healing.
Yeah,
which was healing work. So at that point, because I still had my scientific background, I started at the level of the physical body. So I worked a lot with plants and herbs. Then I went more into nutrition, and after nutrition, I learned about reflexology and different types of massage. I always wanted to do massage. For some reason, I always had a desire to do that, and now that I think back, I think it was just in me to do that, because my grandmother was very good at massage. She used to help people with their stomach ailments, and I remember she used to help me too as a child. Whenever I'd have pain or cramping, she'd just move it out of my body, and my mom's really good at it. And then I think I naturally had that impulse in me, so I took a few courses on that, and then again my level of happiness just kept increasing and increasing. But with the level of happiness, my confidence didn't increase. I always felt like I needed to learn more. I don't know enough. I need to take more courses, or I need to maybe study with a mentor. So I studied with a few mentors, and then my confidence grew, because I like learning with people. I like learning with teachers, and so I worked alongside them with patients or clients, and then basically now I'm here. So then my last mentor, I learned a lot about mind, how the mind works, because the body can only receive if your mind is clear about what it is that you're receiving. And if your mind is not clear, if it's cluttered and jumbled and you're argumentative, one, you won't be able to receive information because you're too busy already pushing it out with all the chaos that's going on in there. And then two, if you're cluttered at the level of the mind, you're going to be cluttered at the level of the body as well. So one of my mentors actually taught me a lot about how to get the mind clear. So I started doing a lot of therapies for the mind and helping people with their anxiety and lack of sleep and just in general peace of mind. And I know that's kind of a rhetoric because the mind is never peaceful, but peace of mind it begins first, and then the body can get better. So that's another connection that I made along the way. And now, I stumbled upon more at the level of energy. And health practitioners, a lot of natural health practitioners always say mind, body, soul, mind, body, soul. But what does that actually mean? Mind, body, soul. And how does that apply to healing? So this is something that I never really understood until today, because healing happens on so many different levels, and a physical body is just the surface.
Totally.
It's just the surface, and then the mind. The mind's even subtler than the physical body, but it's so powerful. It's so much more powerful than the physical body. And now I've gone more into the realm of energy, and energy is even more subtle than the mind, and it's even more powerful than the mind and the body. And so one thing that I've realized is everything is energy. Everything is energy, and it's always changing, and it should, and it
Absolutely.
should, and it's always moving, and it should, and that's how I came upon the quill.
Wonderful. That's a very powerful story, and everybody has their story or their history, what got them to where they're at, and it's, when you share that is very empowering to other people, because people often question, okay, you were born, you were given that in a certain way. No, you were on this journey developing to who you are today. And I know for myself, it's been a long time, and I always have to take that attitude. Just be a student. The moment you wake up, you're a student. And then you do your research, and then you want to just share whatever you know, put it into practice, because when you're talking about it and you're working with it, this is very empowering.
Yes.
And like me working with my wands, which is totally in the energetic field, I learn so much. And so every week I'm kind of like, I get built up, and I get more and more energized.
Right.
And many days I spend eating so little food, but it's the energy.
It's the energy.
It's kind of like osmosis. You draw the energy from other things.
Yes.
Right? And you just want to keep on going.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so being in this kind of rabbit hole of health, it's huge. It leads all over.
Yes.
And I think what you said, that's really kind of powerful, because people have often limited body, soul, mind, but in fact, you start looking, there's many more layers, right?
Yeah, there's so many
spirit,
layers.
soul, mind, emotion, consciousness, body. And so when you're looking at what is going on in people's life and what is throwing them off, again, the word disease, out of balance, it's just that. It could be happening, they could be stuck emotionally, mentally, or whatever else, and it's, clearing that. And once we clear everything being energy, we need to allow that to flow. Like, get into that peace of mind.
Yeah.
And again, for so long, all people have been hearing about the mind, they think of the brain.
Right.
It's not. The brain is the neurological computer.
Right.
The mind is in every cell of the body.
Wow.
So when we have a certain mindset, we're actually vibrating those frequencies, because that's energy is vibration and frequency. We're vibrating at the level of the whole body. We laugh, we have a really good time, and like they say, laughter is the best medicine, so we really get a good laugh. I sometimes just have to watch something and I just laugh myself silly.
Yeah.
I love it.
I know.
But I just feel such a release of
It
that,
is a release.
right?
It is a
Or
release.
sometimes people get angry and they get into a rage, and they're just like vibrating with that rage.
Yeah.
And that's where you have all kinds of behavior on the roads, and people start doing crazy things.
Yeah.
And, so once people start to realize, it's like mindset.
It is.
And how do we get into that mindset? And that could be again, with the programming and all that. So, but anyways, it's wonderful to come to the point that I have and you have, and I think this is what we have so much in common, and we'll be starting to work together.
Well,
It's
like what
energy.
you said was, like my mama always says that when you laugh, and she's got a great laugh, she said, when you laugh, she says, "Nada sariyan khol jandiyan," that all the nerves in the body open.
Yes.
And you literally open. And Buddha says that laughter is one of the avenues to enlightenment. And then if you think about the opposite of laughter is anger, what you were saying, angry, and you're vibrating. But when you're vibrating, you're so tight.
That's right.
And tense.
Yes.
And then literally your energy gets blocked. So it's the opposite of laughter.
Yes.
So if laughter is medicine, then what is anger? It's really
Disease.
It's really something to think about.
Yes.
And what are we doing to ourselves when we're getting angry at that other person? We are putting ourselves into the opposite of healing. We're putting ourselves into
That's certainly, like even the last, call it 30 days, a number of people I've worked with, and every person I'm working with, I use that as, I call it my lab, right? Because
Yeah.
you know, I have that opportunity to, as I'm working with them, to observe
Right.
all kinds of different layers with them, right?
And you do observe. I've watched
Yes.
you, and it's like you're just you become almost like a conduit. You're just feeling what it is that may be wrong with them, or what is it that is blocking that energy. And I've seen you do it, like whether it's a turtleneck blocking the throat chakra, or it's a piece of metal on their clothing. It's pretty amazing, actually, when I watch you.
And I
work.
love being guided in that, and there's just so many more
Yes.
things coming on.
Yeah.
But because there's so much issue with people's energy,
Right.
and it's coming into the spaces that people live, we're bombarded, like they say again, 200 million new frequencies
Right.
through technology in the last 100 years.
Yeah.
And so we're bathing in energy.
Yeah.
Right? And sometimes we're bathing in energy that is so negative, okay? And of course,
Yes.
it's just like impacting. And so what I find when I use my wands with people, some people have very small energy field,
Right.
aura, whatever you want to
Yeah.
call it, right? And
I would call it an energy field.
sure, yeah.
I would call it that, or life.
But some people might, life
that
force.
Life force.
Right?
And
so,
we've seen it. It's a bubble.
exactly.
It's a bubble around you.
So it's now, what is the reason for that? It could be an inside job because turmoil, chaos going on in their
Right.
life, right?
Yeah.
And so you then work with the different layers. And then certainly the technology we're going to talk about here shortly, all the different options
Yeah.
can help and clear it. And that's just part of the way to get there, right?
Well,
And
the
then
way
if-
I look at it is, okay, so I agree with you. Everything's energy. And why is the energy blocked? There's so many different levels, because if you look at the source of energy, we get it in basically 4 or 5 different ways. We get it through our food. We get it through our water. We get it through air. We get it from the sun. And we get it through basically, we get it through language. So what type of language do we use? What kind of words do we use? What kind of words are we thinking about? And then what kind of words are coming at us from the people that surround us on a day-to-day basis? And then lately, and then we also get energy from, historically, we get energy from our planet, so the Earth.
Right.
We get energy from the planetary system, so the 9 planets, or 9 or 10 planets, I think now it is, revolving around the sun. We get energy from all the star constellations in space, whether we know it or not. We are getting energy from them.
Right.
And so all of this, like we are like a receiver
Yes.
we're like radios. We're constantly receiving and sending signals. So there's so many ways that we get energy, not just from food and water like we think it is.
Mainly, that's what people think about.
Yeah, and so now working now with the coil and the energy cards and everything, what I've realized is the more and more I've been working with the coil and the wand, is I've realized that there is an ocean of radiation we are constantly walking through, driving through, moving through on a day-to-day basis, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Like there's not a moment as living in living in urban life that we are not being somehow washed with this radiation, even when we're sleeping. So if our cell phone is sitting by our heads, that's radiation. You know,
news.
There was that one client of yours whose house is under a lot of electrical circuits. So her
main power lines,
right,
the big stuff.
Yes. Yeah, and so her house is being bombarded, and with just negative energy, and she didn't even know.
Right.
But yet she doesn't like to be home. And that's why, because it's just like a pocket of negative energy in there. But thank goodness you're able to help her with that.
Well, I remember that the day that I first went into the house, because it was later at night, so it was dark. I didn't see the towers.
Yeah.
And coming into the house, and I'm checking for positive energy.
Right.
Boom! My wand snapped. They were all pointing towards negative energy. Anywhere I walked, I've never been in a home that was so
powerfully negative.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
And it's hard
to dangerous.
Find. Totally.
It's dangerous because it affects our minds.
Yes.
Whether we know it or not. It affects our moods, whether we know it or not. It affects our ability to connect with our loved ones and with nature. And so we think, we're in these toxic relationships, or we're not able to communicate because, that person doesn't know how to communicate. Maybe I don't know. No. A lot of it, what I have found, is that we are literally not able to, our energies are not able to connect because of all the external influence coming at us all the time. And how do I know that? Because since I brought the coil into my house, I feel different. And because I work from home, my clients will say to me, as soon as I come out your front door, I feel good. And of course, I could take credit for that because I know they're coming to see me, but I know it's not me. It's because I've done so many things to create a loving, energetic field in my house. So I started with originally like putting crystals in the house. I light candles every morning. Sometimes I'll light incense. I put plants throughout the house, consciously, because I just wanted to create a beautiful atmosphere in my house. And then I meditate every day, and praying and hoping and trying to create peace in the house. And so originally that's how that sort of desire to have peace in my life every day was sort of created. Then when I brought in the wand and the coil and the card, like one of these, that changed everything. That changed everything. And then I first started noticing that people were less angry. People started calming down. So my younger son, who's got a bit of a temper on him, stopped having tantrums. Yeah. And then, because I live in an extended family, I noticed people weren't as angry as they were before. It was the atmosphere was a lot more calm. And now it's come to a place where those same people who didn't like to talk or didn't like to communicate, were having a hard time expressing themselves or with any type of self-expression, are now able to communicate verbally. And I don't have to poke and prod, it's just out there. So that desire to connect is coming out. So it's changing. And then even with my clients, people who haven't slept in months or even years will fall asleep on my table. And I know, okay, the massage is great, But it's not just the massage. I know it is also, there's something more, and because I always have this playing, and according to whatever frequency they need, that's what I'll use, and I've seen transformational results in people.
But at the same time, when you're working with your hands
Yeah.
on the body,
Yeah.
you become a conduit,
You become a conduit.
right, of the energy that's flowing overall.
Yes.
Intentions always. So,
Right.
you know, your intention as a healer, doing a massage,
Yes.
that is powerful. I find more and more, even for me,
It's, yeah.
you know, if you put good intentions in there,
Right.
the chances of being able to help them is so much improved. So you can learn techniques and use technology,
Right.
and that's going to help.
That's going to help.
But if all of a sudden you really their intentions coming from the heart, just allowing that the energy to flow to them,
Yeah.
people have this kind of awakening, whatever. It raises their
They can
energy
feel
just
it.
a lot. So, you know, it's kind of like love overcomes everything,
Right,
right? You
right.
know? So when we love what we do, we let the love flow.
Yeah.
People feel that,
Yeah.
right? Hey,
And it's
from
a
the heart.
technique too.
Sure.
So
yeah.
you figured out, and I've kind of figured out what works and what doesn't.
Exactly.
Right? So you have all your gadgets and your tools, and I have all my gadgets and my tools. And we've kind of, it's science with the intuition as well.
Totally, 100%. So yeah, here we are. Typically, the world, like living in an urban societies, we're
Yeah.
being ambushed. That's the expression. We're being ambushed, assaulted, and damaged by all these other energies,
Right.
which happens to be invisible.
Yeah.
So many people are not even aware.
Yeah.
And everybody's using technology. Who doesn't have a cell phone? Very few
Yeah.
people that don't have.
Well, we need technology.
Exactly. So this is the way the world has changed. If we want to work within the world, I have one client. She came. She says, "I don't use a cell phone," and it says, "Great, if you can survive without it, just stay there, right? If you don't need it."
Yeah.
But for the average person today,
We
how
need
do you?
cell phones.
We need it.
Yeah.
So now be aware of what steps you can take because you need to help to protect against these, call it bad negative energies, okay, that is introduced through this technology. And so it's do the reverse of protecting, build up that shield and allow that to grow, because if it takes you down at a DNA level and it weakens all the cells and all the structures in your body, then again it's the word disease.
Right.
And you know, people will go down, and
Yeah.
of course we see the rates of cancers going
Yeah.
up, and again Canada, it's 1 in 2 now. That's the government statistics, and we even haven't really fully introduced 5G. That's going to come. What's here, okay?
It's-
And as that comes, that's going to increase. So for me, it's kind of like I want to bring them all kinds of solutions. So for me, the number one part that everybody should have is one of these little energy cards. Okay?
Right.
You got cell phones, you got whatever. Carry one of these
Right.
on your body. It helps.
And what does that do exactly? Like,
Well, okay, so basically, again, the universe is full of energy,
Right.
life force that exists in the universe, cosmos, whatever you want to call it. And that's supporting all life. Plants, animals, they all get that life force there. We
Right.
do, okay? But as this other stuff comes against us, it's being diminished. And so there's less. So now what we can do, okay, to draw more of that energy, that's what this energy card does, okay? So it's got properties from the symbolism, even universal flower of life and materials and so on, and the way then it's now becomes attuned overall. It's tuned to that universal life force, and it draws it in it, and it also is able to put it out, so it brings it in and amplifies it back out, so then when we have it, the closer we have it to our body, it enhances our life force.
okay. So it's almost like a magnet.
Yeah, it's like a magnet
the
and an amplifier at the
universal
same
life
time,
force.
right? So
Okay.
yeah, it pulls it in and it amplifies it back out, therefore boosting us.
Right.
And so, you know, so this I see today as a must for everybody.
Yeah.
And some people will maybe even introduce some bigger ones and put it, you know, like used in the kitchen, food sources and so on.
Well, I remember when you first came over and you measured my energy, and it was, you know, out there. And then I picked up my cell phone, and then the energy shrunk,
Right.
like right here. And then you said, "Here, carry this." I did, and it actually went bigger than even my original
That's right. It boosts it all
Bubble.
the time. Yeah.
bubble of energy.
Yeah.
That's
So one
pretty
thing that
cool.
people have to understand that the negative energy is generated by this technology is still going to be there, but by us allowing ourselves to be improved, it's kind of like building that bigger shield.
Yeah.
Okay, and now allowing our bodies to more optimally function. So this is one way of building yourself some protection, and that's not without having to put a whole bubble, a whole shield around you. So sometimes people think that that's what they do. I'm like,
Yeah.
you know, tinfoil, wrap it all around me. No.
Yeah, it's quite small, it's convenient. And you know what? I'm going to put this into my kids' phones as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Great. So then, we have, these pocket OGs, combination of that can work on geopathic stresses. Then we have these other versions of OGs, which is a combination of crystals, minerals, metals.
And you've measured the energy on all these?
Oh, most of them we've done it, yeah.
Ooh, I
And
like
there-
this
there
one.
is actually, we have other videos.
Yeah.
Where we've done talks, and we've done this externally in the field in one of the parks. We've taken a bunch of the OGs, so anybody who wants to preview, get more knowledge on the cards,
Yeah.
YouTube, even on my Facebook channel, and I welcome anybody to just share. If people want to know, hey, these guys have got some videos to explain this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So go to YouTube, Bioenergy Wellness Care.
Yeah.
And there's probably 50 videos on different subjects that we've been doing.
Right.
And then on my Facebook, Richard Lewald, and so on.
Well, let's talk about this
yes,
one.
okay, let's talk
So
about
this
that.
is the rose quartz.
Yes.
And I've always liked crystals.
Okay.
Okay, but again, my logical mind would always interfere with, like the questions would arise, does it really work? Does it actually even do anything? But my sort of the right-sided brain would always say, but I like them. And so I put them around my house. And this crystal actually is quite powerful, and I think it's the reason why it may be so is because it's not polished.
Right.
It's still quite raw,
Yes.
as it would be found in nature. And what happened with this crystal is actually really cool. I have a plant that I have in my meditation area, and each year it gives about 3 flowers, and it usually blooms around this time, and then the flowers will last till about maybe the end of August, and then they die. And one year, last year actually, the first flower came out, and I think one of my kids kicked the plant or something, and the stem sort of
Buckled.
almost broke, and I was upset. And so I thought, okay, I'll prop it up with something, because I was in the middle of my meditation, and I thought I'll just prop it up with something quickly, and I used this to prop it up, and so then the flower didn't die, and 2 more flowers came up. And I actually have the picture of it as well. And 2 more flowers came up, which is great. Normally 2 more come anyway. And then a 4th one came, which has never happened. I've had the plant for over 10 years. And so I thought, wow, that's really cool. 4 flowers came this year. That's great. And then at the end of August, all of the flowers died, except the one that was holding up that the crystal was
Yes,
holding
yes.
up.
Yeah.
So that flower
The one
stayed
that was
alive.
injured or damaged, essentially.
The
right?
original flower
Yes, yes.
didn't die, and it stayed alive, propped up against this until November. And what happened in November was my well-meaning mother was cleaning my house, my cluttered house, and she moved the crystal. And then the flower died. That's how my scientific mind was finally convinced that there is something to these.
Well, and it's what's in.
There is life force in these crystals.
Absolutely. But just think in technology.
Healing.
Crystals
life
are
force.
used in technology. Crystals are used in radios. They used to have these crystal radio kits. Crystals
Right.
are used in computers.
Right.
Crystals are used in watches.
Okay.
And it's because of their abilities to carry
Conduct.
energy, conduct, and be tuned to frequencies and so on.
Right.
So if people are sort of saying that, ooh, it's woo-woo stuff
Yeah.
you're talking about. No. Crystals are used in technology.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now I know that.
Yes.
Because working with this technology, I'm learning a lot more about all these different crystals that are used in computers and watches and all of those things, and cell phones and all of that. And now what I've also learned is that every single crystal that's out there, we have a bit of that in our bodies.
That's right.
So what does that mean? What does that mean? That means that, in a sense, we are also crystals.
Well, and then think from that aspect that we are so much water, 70% water,
Right.
whatever, in that area. And water on its own has also crystalline nature. It's like, I think it's a tetrahedron or something like that.
Okay.
Okay, so we're so much water, and water is crystalline in nature, and then everything else, because we take in minerals in and so on, and they
Right.
have their everything essentially has some kind of a crystalline nature to it.
Yeah.
Just some of them are really able to be
Like
expressing
move.
a bigger
Right.
energy field or whatever, right? You
Yeah.
know, so that's what's. We in nature, we are part of nature, and so we can embrace nature and bring
Yeah.
it in.
Right.
And once we get attuned, that, like you say, with there's the flower.
Right.
We can support life. Nature, life gives life. Okay.
Life
That's-
gives life.
And if we, and death gives death. So if we consume things that are consuming us,
Right.
then it's going to take that life force out of us.
Yeah.
But let's just get attuned what can help us and prop us up, and then maybe we'll awaken to the fact that, hey, I'm not just here in this world to just be consumed,
Yeah.
be a consumer, be consumed by these things,
Right.
Go the typical thing, okay, hey, Johnny, or whatever,
Yeah.
you grow up, get an education, get a job, whatever, buy this, get all these things, and then there you
Then
are
what?
in life. Exactly.
And I mean, we think we're consumers, but we are actually being consumed.
That's right.
Because when you're constantly reaching out for that sustenance or that energy, you're going to lose that. You're losing it. Where are you projecting it out into? And what are you bringing back in? Okay, so let's say if we do look at things now more in terms of energy. So let's look at food. Okay, how about that day? Maybe you don't remember, but I remember. You came over and you were measuring the energy of the different food that I had on the table for everybody to eat. So I had some nuts there, I had some fruit, and then I had some cookies that I had that one of my mothers had given to me, well-meaningly again,
Sure.
from a major retailer. So, and we measured the life force of everything, and it was all great. The avocado, the apple, the nuts. But then when we came to the packaged cookies, the life force actually went down. So instead of these packaged foods giving us life, if we look at it that way, they're not. They're actually taking it away. So whether it's through the digestive process, like we are not able to digest it, or because it's dead food, there's no life force in it. And so what is that going to do when it goes into the body? It's also going to create, as you say, death.
That's right.
But if you're eating the live food or home cooked meals with natural raw ingredients, then you're putting life into your body. So if people start looking at that, like, what am I putting into my body? Am I putting life, or am I putting the opposite of life? Perhaps you'll figure out why it is that you're feeling tired or depressed, no energy, lethargic. I could go on and on and on. But if you change some of these things, like we said, food is only one way
Right.
of receiving energy. It's only one way.
Yes.
And we live in an amazing universe where we can get energy in so many different ways. But food, people think it's the main, and for many people it is the main source of energy. So let's think about what we're putting in our bodies in terms of life and the opposite of life.
Right.
And if you want to feel alive, if you want to feel energetic, if you want to feel good, you want to look good, you want to look 40 when you're 60,
Thank you.
then eat life.
That's right.
Eat life.
So true. And the big thing is, why people kind of get stuck in a rut and have it's addictions.
Let's talk about that.
Okay, we spend.
I know a lot of
but
people
what I'm thinking about is that
stuck in a rut.
People are addicted And so if we have toxic thoughts all the time,
Thoughts.
because that's where we focus,
Yeah.
okay, in our thinking.
Yeah.
So I often say it's our thinking gets us into trouble, right? We're focused, our thinking is so
Right.
wrong. And we're willfully doing that, and we
I
don't want
wouldn't
to
say
shift
wrong.
out of it. Well,
I
okay.
would say
Okay, so,
damaging
right, okay, thank you.
or decreasing the life force
Right.
in the body. So there's different types of thinking.
That's
there's
right.
thinking that brings our energy down,
Right,
and there's thinking that brings our energy up.
right.
So
we have a
which way
choice.
do we want to think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like food. It's how we want to feel.
Right.
You know, you can choose anger or you can choose happiness, which is the better, right?
Exactly.
And if we go through all the different layers and we're starting to bring all those layers alive,
Yeah.
that's got an exponential effect as well. We can soon go from here, like I say, you're feeling low, go have a really good laugh. Laugh
Yes.
yourself silly till you vibrate.
Yes.
Man, you come out of it and it's just
Yeah.
like so many things. You feel good.
Another thing you can do is go out in nature and look up. How many people are always looking down?
Cell phones.
Cell
iPads.
phones. Oh, I need to look at the ground. I don't want to fall.
Right.
What happens when you look up? Well, it actually changes the vibration of your brain.
That's right.
It's actually been scientifically proven that when you look up, it changes the vibration of your brain, and you cannot be depressed if you're looking up.
Wow. So do a little bit of sun gazing, you know.
Sun gazing, sky
Yes.
gazing, cloud gazing,
absolutely.
whatever it is, just look up.
Well, there you have it. That's an amazing. So we're going to spend a few minutes on here because we've been talking for a
Right.
while. So you're the expert on it. So let you talk on this coil here.
Okay, so the coil. This is an amazing technology with a very old concept. So, you know, everything has vibration. Words
Right.
have vibration. Pictures have vibrations. Geometrical shapes have vibrations. Or frequency, you can call it. Whatever word that you're able to connect to. Everything has energy. Everything has vibration. Everything has frequency. And so in the olden days, what we used to do to change the frequency of our bodies and our minds and soul is we used to do mantra chanting. So Om is a very famous mantra, and it is the universal, basically, sound of the planet, of the universe, of everything, and it's everywhere we go. And actually NASA discovered that the same frequency of Om is the same frequency as the sun.
Oh, one.
Yeah. So there is something to that it's very profound. I really want people to think about that. And because a lot of people will associate the sound Om to a religion or a country, but it is beyond religion, and it
It's the
is
sound
beyond
of the universe.
even this planet.
Yes.
It's everywhere,
Right.
whether we want to know it or not.
Right.
And it comes from our sun. And so the sound Om was used to help people transcend. Why transcending is you transcend the level of the body and even the level of the mind, so you reach into that space of completeness and emptiness, and where there is no thought. That is meditation. So that is a mantra, but there's thousands of mantras. There's, you know, like even like love could be a mantra. What is love? Actually, when we don't associate it with a person or a thing, it's a beautiful feeling, and it is actually the same feeling as the planet.
Right.
The planet also has a frequency, so the frequency of the planet is 7.83 hertz, and which is also the same frequency as the fourth chakra in the body, which is also a manifestation of love. And so everything has frequency. So a long time ago we did sounds as frequency to change the vibration of the body, and they work, and they still work. And then we also have shapes. So we have the city
Right.
yantra.
Geometrics.
Yeah, so we have the flower of life.
Right.
which also has vibration.
Exactly.
Everything in nature follows the same geometrical sequence as this flower of life drawing. It's amazing. It's quite amazing, actually. So let's say you have a mantra, and then you have a yantra, which is the geometrical shape. So that also creates frequency in your home, in your body, in the mind, wherever you want to go. And then you have the coil. So what does the coil do? The coil basically works with a sound system that plays into the copper wiring, and it flows into the environment. So whether it's your home,
energy waves,
yes. Yeah. And so originally, what I used it for was I used it for like pain management. Because it also comes in the form of a wand, where it's more good for acute, like on the body. And so what I realized was this is really good for pain. So there's different frequencies that you can play through it. So there's so many frequencies in nature. So you have the frequencies of the sun, like we talked about. We have the frequency of the planets, and we have frequency of the pyramids. So the pyramids are quite amazing. I could go on and on about them as well. David Sarita, who's a NASA scientist, or used to be, I don't think he is anymore, came up with a lot of these ideas about how to work with the coil. And so I've watched him a lot, but I've also been kind of using it with my clients. And one thing I realized is that the pyramid frequency actually does a lot of clearing. So it clears a lot out of the body. So whether it's pain or stagnation or depression or whatever, like it just clears. So it clears the body. It also clears the environment. Any type of blockages or blockage, because pain is blockage essentially.
So what we could do, okay, in a subsequent session, we should talk about specifically the properties of the sun, the earth, and all that, and then we can kind of explain all the benefits we can do.
There's it's so amazing, actually.
This is so.
I have so much respect now for our planet and the universe, because I realize it's all. Of course, it's just amazing on its own, but it also is so amazing for us because we're so connected and influenced by it. And so this has helped me sort of connect to that knowledge of energy, or energetic knowledge, I guess you could say. So originally when I started working with it, I was working with it one-on-one and just seeing these transformations happen with people. Then I thought, well, maybe this can benefit my family too. And then I started noticing, okay, there's definitely a subtle changes happening in the relationships of my family. And now working with you, I'm thinking we can actually influence entire
neighborhoods, communities. Yeah.
Now I don't want to scare anybody with that, but I think it's okay because a lot of the times, a lot of these frequencies, actually all of these frequencies are already happening in the planet, but we are not able to receive them the way we used to 20, 30 years ago because of all the other radiation happening in the environment. Now, I've said this before, I'll say it again, Earth is a planet of duality, and we need technology. I'm not against technology. I use it every day of my life, and I know we need it, I respect it. However, we've come to a time now where the effects of that technology are causing damage to our bodies and minds and relationships with ourselves and with the planet. And so Dr. Rife in the 1930s came up with what he termed as Rife frequencies. So he's got over 200 frequencies set up to help with different conditions of the body. And so he actually made these frequencies because what he realized was for every disease condition of the body, there's a frequency.
It's an opposite,
Yes. And so to heal that frequency of the disease, to heal the disease, you play the opposite and equal frequency of that disease and cancel it out of the body. So he did that. And he was a scientist, he was a doctor, he proved it, but people kind of shut him down. However, there was a few oddballs here and there,
like us,
us included, that know there's something to that, and so I've been using it, and they work. They work.
Well, it's I think we need to do more explaining to people and sharing, and we're definitely going to, do more talking about
it's
this
very
stuff.
exciting.
Yeah, and we'll hone in more specific, and if people ask questions,
Right.
and then we kind of factor that into for a future session. So
Right.
We can talk on and on.
Yes.
For sure, you and I, we can just keep going,
Yeah.
because we love, one of the things we love to share this. We want to help the individuals.
It's
We want
exciting.
to help the neighborhoods. We want to help the planet.
For sure.
We want to get people back on top, so that people are empowered. They're not enslaved, because once we have freedom of the mind to be able to think and feel good,
And feel good.
yeah,
And feel at ease.
exactly. So
And
it's
that's what it
disease
is.
or at ease, and then
Yeah.
once we're at that, we will resonate at a higher level ourselves, and that level of energy, then we become, again, we're receivers and transmitters. That allows us to become stronger transmitters. And we can have an effect within our home, community, everything else. So
Absolutely.
let's raise the vibration together.
Yes.
And anyone, if you are interested in this technology, from the cards to the OGs, we have other videos. And then watch our last weekend's video where we were demonstrating this out in the park, Bear Creek Park in
Right.
Surrey.
Yeah.
So it's good for people to reference, where we worked with the coil. Then we introduced the energy card,
Right.
the OG in there, and you can see how they actually
Enhanced.
complemented, enhanced it, and made things more powerful.
Right.
And we're just scratching the surface, I feel now,
Yeah.
And as we continue to work together, we'll work with individuals on this, and we share, bring in more information, we'll have more to contribute. So anyways, we just want to thank you for being with us today, and we love you. Come on back. Thank you. Share. Bring us the questions. Have a good day.